Having a Buffett-like stock portfolio is the dream of every investor. Buffett's investing philosophy hasn't quite changed. It's the same old: search for companies with strong profit margins and a solid return on equity with able management and attractive share prices. While the Oracle of Omaha has changed a bit with time, especially regarding his stance on the technology sector, he still follows those principles to the core. And that's why his stock picks are closely watched by investors around the globe. Why follow Berkshire Hathaway stock picks? There's a good reason why Berkshire Hathaway's yearly investor meeting is celebrated by investors as nothing short of a Wall Street event. Before the coronavirus struck, around 40,000 investors would line up in the modest town of Omaha, Nebraska, just to hear insights from Buffett and Berkshire Vice Chairman Charlie Munger. Both the business partners are really compatible with one another, and each one clever and engaging in his own particular manner. The insights that they have to offer is really beneficial for so many investors around the globe. People intently watch the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio for a basic reason. Berkshire Hathaway's history is totally unmatched. In the long time of 57 years from 1965 to 2021, Berkshire Hathaway stock has appreciated at a 20.1% annualized rate, contrasted with a 10.5% annualized return for the S&P 500. To describe the force of compounding that added up to a whopping 3,641,613% return for Berkshire investors, as compared with a 30,209% return for those who invested in the S&P 500. For each $10,000 invested in Berkshire in 1965, investors made $364.17 million toward the end of 2021. S&P 500 investors would only have $3.03 million. Returns like that can't just be created by being lucky. Buffett's super long-term approach is essential for what makes him a fantastic investor. It is a quality that not many other investors possess. Berkshire concurred in 2015 to make its biggest ever buy, paying $32.1 billion for a complete acquisition of the giant Precision Castparts Corporation. Buffett dismissed worries over the bear market in the energy sector at the time as being short-sighted. He was quoted as saying, "We will be in this business for a long time." Another pretty renowned attribute of Buffett is his joke that his #1 holding period is always. All that is to say that when Berkshire makes changes to its portfolio, it will generally have some solid reasons. Looking at Warren Buffett stocks, one thing is clear: he doesn't plan for the short term. He is there only for the long haul. 4 times each year, investing corporations of a specific size are expected to unveil their positions in stock. That is something incredible for devotees of Warren Buffett, broadly thought to be the best long-haul investor ever. His organization, Berkshire Hathaway, which he still operates at age 91, claims a rambling values portfolio that straightforwardly reflects what stocks Buffett likes. Although investors don't have an authorized impression of every nitty-gritty of Berkshire stocks, the organization's mid-May 13F filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission reveals a lot of the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio as it is towards the end of March. In this video, we will take you through Berkshire's portfolio. See for yourself. But what is inside the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio? In the first quarter of 2022, Buffett's Berkshire grew a stake in Chevron by 316%. It also purchased a major stake in Occidental Petroleum in a potential bet that oil prices will remain high. Both Chevron and Occidental presently rank among the company top 10 holdings by number of shares. Berkshire also added more of Apple in Q1, while also buying Paramount Global and HP. The relatively small but fast-growing Paramount streaming service is an opponent to Netflix and Disney. While Berkshire was a net purchaser of stocks in Q1, it also sold many drug stocks. However, it also opened a new position in Merck after it sold Keytruda in Q3 of 2021. Keytruda manufactures drugs for diseases like cancer. As revealed by its portfolio in the last quarter, Berkshire kept a portion of its largest and longest-held positions steady. Those included Bank of America and Kraft Heinz, as well as Coca-Cola and American Express. Out of these, Berkshire has owned Coca-Cola and American Express since the longest time, first investing in both the companies around 2001. Toward the end of March this year, these were the main 10 Warren Buffett stocks by number of shares held. Bank of America, 1.01 billion shares. Apple, 890.9 million shares. Coca-Cola, 400 million shares. Kraft Heinz, 325.6 million shares. Occidental Petroleum, 226.1 million shares. Chevron, 159.2 million shares. American Express, 151.6 million shares. U.S. Bancorp, 126.4 million shares. Horsepower, 121 million shares. New Holdings, 107.1 million shares. What is Berkshire Hathaway investment strategy? Buffett is known primarily as a buy and hold investor, clinging to his stocks for a really long time, even several years. However, there has been a significant turnaround recently. In 2021, Berkshire Hathaway exited Biogen, Teva Pharmaceuticals, and a Merck side project Organon. These stocks were not held for a long time by Berkshire, as they were sold soon enough after buying. The company also dumped other pharma stocks, such as AbbVie and Bristol-Myers Squibb in Q1 2022, after buying them for the first time in Q3 2020. In 2020, Berkshire also bought and then immediately sold Pfizer and Barrick Gold. It even dumped Costco the same year. Berkshire had already dumped drywall creator United States Gypsum Corporation in 2019, IBM in 2018, and General Electric in 2017. Now, all this dumping might sound a bit too much. More so because these are profitable companies, and one would expect Buffett, who is known to hold on to his stocks for the long haul, to keep them. But it hasn't affected Berkshire's prospects at all. Top Buffett stocks will generally be profit producers. Take Coca-Cola stock, which Buffett started assembling in 1987 and which has developed profits for around 60 years straight. Somewhere in the range of 1965 and 2021, the broadly followed Berkshire Hathaway portfolio posted a 20.1% compound yearly profit, almost twofold that of the S&P 500 list. That says something about the investing genius of the Oracle of Omaha. Apple stock is number 1 by value. While Bank of America is the number 1 Warren Buffett stock by number of shares, Apple is the number 1 stock in Berkshire's portfolio by market value. Buffett and Munger, who have been initially quite reluctant to invest in tech stocks, but they decided to change that approach with time when Berkshire first bought Apple shares in 2016. 6 years later, Berkshire's stake in the technological giant is valued at a whopping $155.56 billion at the end of March. And Buffett has only been increasing his stake in Apple, which today makes up 42% of Berkshire's total equity portfolio, up from 6% at the end of 2016. It accounts for a big chunk of the portfolio's surge in value over that period. Additions to the portfolio. There were at least 6 additions to Berkshire Hathaway's stock holdings in the first quarter of 2022. This constituted a 6-fold increase from the same period a year before. Ally Financial Incorporated. Being a famous fan of the financial sector, Buffett acquired nearly $400 million worth of digital financial services company Ally in the first quarter. The stock pays a decent 3.1% dividend. Markel Corporation. Continuing with the same sector, Berkshire also bought over $600 million worth of specialty insurer Markel. This move only added to its large insurance industry exposure. McKesson Corporation. Berkshire also added a healthcare services company to its portfolio in the first quarter of 2022. This move fits Buffett's preference for companies with strong competitive advantages. Berkshire acquired about $900 million in shares in the first quarter. Celanese Corporation. Celanese is a bit of a lesser-known name. The chemicals company is in the business of polymers and other starting materials for paints and coatings. Berkshire took a $1.1 billion position in Celanese. Paramount Global. Berkshire also purchased $2.6 billion worth of stocks in the media and entertainment giant Paramount Global, which was formerly known as Viacom CBS. At 11 times forward earnings, Para is a value stock, and it pays a 3% dividend. Citigroup Incorporated. The U.S.-based bank Citigroup is the largest new position taken by Berkshire in the first quarter of 2022. The company pumped nearly $3 billion into the already massive bank. Buffett is anyways a fan of productive assets and must have been lured by Citigroup's 4.1% dividend and price-book ratio below 0.6. The stocks Buffett sold this quarter. Although he has taken a whole lot of positions in this quarter, it was not all just about purchase for Buffett, as he was also active on the selling side of the ledger. Berkshire decreased its holdings by 80% or more in the first quarter in some companies. AbbVie Incorporated. Buffett sold 100% of its stake in the pharmaceutical giant that it owned. Buffett's financial conglomerate liquidated the more than 3 million shares in AbbVie Incorporated. Bristol-Myers Squibb Company. Buffett also sold 100% of its stake in Bristol-Myers, which is one of the largest drug makers in the U.S. Buffett doesn't seem to be a fan of the stock anymore, selling off its last 5.2 million shares in the first quarter. Wells Fargo & Company. Berkshire had been unloading its large position in megabank Wells Fargo for some time, but finally sold off all of its stake in the company in the first quarter. Buffett might have a reason for that. Wells Fargo had suffered a fake account scandal and regulatory repercussions, some of which still plague the bank. Verizon Communications Incorporated. Buffett decided to sell 99% of its stake in the telecom giant in the first quarter of 2022. And though Verizon was spared the total elimination treatment unlike the previous names, it was easily Berkshire's biggest sale of the quarter. Berkshire's stake in the telecom giant went from 2.49% of its portfolio to just 0.02%. Royalty Pharma plc. Another major sell-off by Berkshire came in the pharma company Royalty Pharma, where it sold 82% of its stake. Royalty Pharma is a business that acquires pharmaceutical royalties and helps smaller healthcare companies grow. Despite that, Berkshire was a seller of this position last quarter. Characteristics of Berkshire Hathaway Holdings. Berkshire Hathaway's stock portfolio is currently worth more than $300 billion. It comprises 53 positions, but it can't be necessarily said that it's quite as diversified as one might expect for a grouping of that many stocks. In fact, the whole mantra of Warren Buffett's incredible success over the years has not been in going for quantity, but for quality. He likes to place concentrated bets on companies which he is highly confident about. This has tremendously helped him become a fabulously successful investor over time. However, it's really hard not to be tempted with increasing the quantity of stocks, given the massive sum of money that Berkshire controls. But it's doing a good job regardless. Its top 10 holdings make up about 85% of Berkshire's stock portfolio. And its single largest position, Apple Incorporated, makes up about 38% of its portfolio. The huge bet on Apple also means that information technology is the most heavily represented sector of the company's portfolio. These stocks constitute about 46% of the total portfolio as of the first quarter of 2022. Another sector, consisting of the financial companies, account for 27% of the portfolio, while the consumer staples were the third largest by quantity, hovering around 11% of the portfolio. So this was all about Warren Buffett's stock portfolio. Meanwhile, tell us what you think about this portfolio. Should Berkshire increase its number of holdings? Hit the comment section. Also, press the like button if you like the provided information. And tap share to share this with your fellow investor friends. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel. We will be back soon with another interesting video.